This changed everything about how he rose me. Dallas still stinks. Yo, by the way, kick Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're hanging in there. So, for many of you guys, you probably already know, you've probably known for about a week that I am actually not at home. I'm out of town. I've been out of town for about 2 weeks. We'll be heading home soon. I need a vacation from the vacation, if you know what I mean. But I did want to try to put out some videos here while I'm on vacation because it would be the fun thing to do. Although it may not be a lot of editing in these, I wanted to put something out nonetheless. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today was this article about the Eagles having the worst draft pick in the last 5 years. Eagles called out for NFL's worst first-round pick ever. Ever. Could you imagine in the last 5 years? Worst ever in the last 5 years. And it goes on to talk about how the Eagles taking Jalen Reagor was basically the worst pick in the last 5 years. While talent evaluation in the NFL can be pretty inexact science, sometimes there are whiffs so bad all you could do is admit it's a mistake and move on. In the case of the Philadelphia Eagles, that hasn't happened very often in recent years. When it did happen, though, it was a doozy. Bleacher Report's Matt Holder called out the reigning Super Bowl champion Eagles for their NFL's worst pick in the last 5 years with wide receiver Jalen Reagor. And it goes on to talk about how Reagor was a bad pick and blah, blah, blah. And the Eagles, they got rid of him quickly. But the Eagles, they had the worst pick in the last 5 years. All I can say is this, right? And this is what I'll say about it. If the Eagles do not draft Jalen Reagor, if they do not draft him, there is no Devontae Smith. There is no Super Bowl champions. There is no Jordan Davis, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. To me, the Jalen Reagor draft mistake was so bad and so enormous that it literally changed the Eagles' philosophy and how they looked at drafting players. They really changed their philosophy. You started seeing them start drafting guys from Alabama, Georgia, which I think you can never go wrong. But, right, they come back in the draft next year. They don't let it stop them from drafting another wide receiver. They take Devontae Smith. And then all of a sudden, you got this string of, in the last 5 years, I think the best drafts the Eagles have had year after year after year after year. So much so that we're in a situation now where we've got to let players go because we can't sign all these draft picks and keep everybody. That's unbelievable. And that would not have happened if the Eagles did not whiff on Jalen Reagor. So to me, it's a huge whiff, no doubt about it. But man, if he's semi-good, if he's decent, if he's average, maybe if he's like even the level of Nelson Aguilar, who you knew had talent, just was a mental case, I don't know how much it changes the Eagles and their philosophy. And the Eagles, the one thing about them, and the one thing that makes them so great, is they're not afraid to admit mistakes. Okay, there is no team that admits mistakes as quick as the Eagles are, as quick as they do it, and then moves on and fixes that mistake right away. They did it with Carson Wentz. Not that I want to say Carson's a mistake, because you wouldn't win your first Super Bowl without him. However, when they knew he didn't want to be there and it was going to be a problem, they didn't hesitate. They got rid of him. And that's what they do. I got to love it. I mean, you look at Huff and Puff, right? Bryce Huff, he comes in. Obviously, a big mistake for the Eagles last year. What do? They don't worry. They don't panic. They don't try to force playing him. They go out and they find a way and they move him. They take their losses. They take what they took and they shake themselves off and they keep going. This is probably, in my opinion, the most humble team in terms of being able to admit your draft mistakes when they happen and actually going out there and fixing things. And now I think they can laugh at the Eagles all they want. They can say, "Oh, the Eagles blew the Jalen Reagor pick. Jalen Reagor." Fine, but you don't get all the success and all the hits that you get if Jalen Reagor is not. If that mistake is not made, you don't have the same. You don't have the same team. And I think the Eagles are changing a lot of things. They're not constantly doing the same thing. All of a sudden this year, we've seen them actually go out and re-sign a linebacker and pay him big money, Zach Bond. I mean, how different is that than the Eagles in the past? Now you have PFF ranking them as having the number one linebacking unit in the league. Now, whether that's true or not, we'll see. I mean, I think a lot of it depends on the health of Nakobe Dean. A lot of it depends on the growth of a Jeremiah Trotter, Jahad Campbell, how healthy he's going to be. But if you look at it, the Eagles got players there. They got youth there. They can play there. That comes because the Eagles were willing to admit their mistakes. This is why, like, I laugh at Mark Holmes, and I have to crack up and I have to bring him up because he does the same thing every year with the same players, same excuses, same hype, same this, we've seen this, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be that, and it's going to be that. But nothing ever changes. Nothing about that team ever changes. They go out, they do the same thing. Dak Prescott puts up big numbers in the regular season. Early September, he looks great, like the best player in the league. October, he's okay, he's pretty good. Then November, he's got some up and down games. Then December, he starts to choke. And then January, he's either already choked or the choke job happens. That's typical Dallas Cowboys, and it doesn't change. The Eagles, however, when they know they made a mistake, they don't wait, they don't let it linger, they don't make excuses, they don't try to hype it up. They go out there and they correct that problem, okay? And what do they say? What's the saying? A problem isn't a mistake until you refuse to correct that mistake. So I found this article kind of like it was trying to take a shot at the Eagles, like, Jalen Reagor, worst pick of any team in the last 5 years. But you don't make that mistake. You don't make all those fixes. They went out, they drafted Devontae Smith. Then they went out and they traded for A.J. Brown. Then all of a sudden, they bring in Saquon Barkley. Then all of a sudden, they give a linebacker like Zach Bond. He has a wonderful, long week. He has a wonderful, great year. Normal Eagles, what the Eagles have done in the past, a linebacker comes in, plays great. The Eagles, they're very quick to get that linebacker and let him hit the free agency market, probably losing him. In years past, the Eagles would not have brought back Zach Bond. In years past, would the Eagles have taken Quinyon Mitchell and then Cooper DeJean? Or would they say, well, we're going to go to another position? The Eagles have changed their philosophy, how they look at the draft pick, how they look at prospects, and how they look at certain positions. Most people, not me, but most people think they never would have taken a running back. I believe Barkley was that special that they would have, but, Barkley getting a contract extension right after winning the Super Bowl, 1 year into his deal, a year later, another contract. That's different. That's stuff the Eagles didn't do in the past. And it comes because they've learned from mistakes, the biggest of which was definitely Jalen Reagor and losing him. So, to me, Jalen Reagor, I think, is that situation, I think, literally is the catalyst for the Eagles to go out and actually, I think it's the catalyst for the Eagles to actually go out and change their philosophy, change how they draft, change how they do things. And I'm all for it. With that said, take care. Talk to you later, of course. Don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's Howie Vision. We're all just living in it. That's all, folks.
The brother screwed us.